Adam Copeland, John Lund, Super Bowl champion Dennis Brown live from Levi Stadium following Week 18. The 49ers fall to the LA Rams 21-20, the final, and they may have left the door open for a potential divisional round matchup with Los Angeles in 2 weeks. Adam Copeland, Dennis Brown, John Lund. Guys, what's going on? How we doing?
I mean, we watched that game. We talked about it before the game even started that, guys would get set down. Sam Darnold was going to play. We had all this, the first half was good. It was a good game to watch. Second half, I mean, if I was a defensive player, I would be upset because, you stayed on the field. I mean, be upset at yourself, but offense just kind of disappeared after the first half. And it was kind of tough to watch. But, no injuries, right? I mean, we had one injury. Farrell went down or something like that. But there's no injuries. Yeah. And that was the goal, right, going into the football game, that not having any injuries and coming out healthy. So that worked out. It's a loss is a loss. It's tough to watch a loss, a home loss especially. But I guess these coaches have it figured out. You go back, you get some rest, you get ready for the playoffs because it's going to start up.
Yeah, look, they got a 2-point conversion at the end, and 21-20, you lose the game. Like you said, though, Cleve Farrell and Knee will wait to hear on something like that. The other guys that were already out are going to get the rest time. The only, I guess, concern that would come out of the game, especially as you're going into the playoffs, Jake Moody hadn't missed a field goal under 40 yards, hadn't missed an extra point, doink off the right, upright.
Both of that's gone. Both of those are over.
So you're 38-yarder, so now he's missed one under 40, and then he misses the extra point. And so your confidence level of your rookie kicker is what? Going into the playoffs, in which this is where Robbie Gould was so great, right? Robbie Gould never missed a playoff field goal or extra point. Let's make this easy. He never missed a kick in the postseason. And now you're going in with a rookie that just missed a field goal from 38 and just missed an extra point. So, yeah, you're a little nervous. The only thing I would have liked to have seen at the end there, Sam Darnold fumbled. They're going down the field. Whether they win, whether they lose, they have home field advantage throughout the whole thing. No big deal. But I would have liked to have seen Jake Moody maybe get a field goal there at the end. You win the game. He gets the game winner. He feels good about himself. And then you're heading off into the playoffs. So maybe it means nothing, but he's a rookie. Maybe it means something.
Don't forget, last time the Niners won a Super Bowl in '94, the '94 season into January, February '95. You guys had a rookie kicker on your squad, Dennis. Doug Bryan was the rookie kicker out of De La Salle out of Cal. He may join us on KNBR later this week.
Dennis and Doug were close.
Were you, Dennis? You and kickers are always real tight, weren't you?
Tight. We were so tight.
Have you talked to Jake yet?
And we're still tight. Huh? We're still tight to this day.
Why don't we get into the stat of the game, sponsored by Stevens Creek Toyota. Shop a huge selection of over 500 vehicles. Stevens Creek Toyota, the obvious choice. John, you mentioned the 2 missed field goals by Jake Moody. Probably the most concerning and the only number or stat that will come out of this one. The other one is the 49ers trying to do everything they could to keep Puka Nacua from getting the final yard that was going to break the rookie receiving record. They were doubling him into the second half, which was hysterical. The second he got the catch in double coverage, they end up pulling him off the field immediately. McVay's like, get him off the field. But I kind of like the Niners saying, hey, we think that Brandon Ayuk got snubbed for a guy like Nacua. We want to make sure he doesn't get the record. He did, but I thought it took him much longer than the Rams have anticipated.
No, the third quarter, right?
Yep.
I mean, you come out, you would think a player like him, and you talk about resting some of your superstars, he wouldn't come back in the game the second half. But it just shows how important it is, for McVay to have, rookie was his 7th-round draft pick. I mean, to get a record, it's tough to do. It's tough to do in an NFL. So now you have a rookie. You knew about the record. You knew how to get him the football. You know he's going to get the football, but it's hard to defend that. So you design offensive plays where you can get the ball. And he got it. I mean, that's great. That's great for a rookie to go out and get a record like that.
So here's the deal. This is what it looks like. Obviously, the 49ers have a bye next week. And I'm just throwing it out there because I know a lot of people are leaving the game. Saturday, 2 games. Sunday, 3 games. Super wild card weekend. Monday, there's a game as well. So again,
I'm not doing anything.
Get your to-do list done now because you will not move off the couch Saturday, Sunday.
What about you?
Monday.
Are you going to be able to sit on the couch all weekend? His wife's like his wife's in the room here, dude.
Yeah,
yes, she has out loud. She answered out loud. Did you hear that?
Like I always say,
what a setup! And it got silent. It got silent.
Crickets in the room.
It's my job.
Dead silent.
It's my job. I'm sorry. Every time it's like there's a sporting event, I'm like, God, I gotta watch this. She's like, do you really have to watch Yale versus Cornell?
I gotta. It's like I gotta do it, man. Greg's counting on me to talk Yale and Cornell on Monday, dude.
Cornell, lacrosse.
Wait. How about Coach putting you on the spot?
Oh,
you're listening to KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader. Niners fall to the LA Rams. We'll get into
too late. But here's the deal. I mean, Niners are off next weekend. 2-7 is your 2-7 situation is the Packers and the Cowboys. This one's going to be the most interesting one of the weekend. These Rams go to Detroit to take on the Lions. Everybody knows about the Goff and Stafford trade, so Stafford goes back to Detroit, take on the Lions in 6-3, and the Bucs take on the Eagles in the 4-3, and the 4-5. The Eagles, Jalen Hurts' finger is all mangled. A.J. Brown's got a knee injury. The Eagles lost 5 of their last 6. They started 10-1. They're going to finish 11-5. They did not look good at all today. 24-10. They lose to the Giants, and it wasn't even that close, to be honest with you. It would not surprise me in the slightest if the Buccaneers beat the Eagles, and we all thought that maybe the 49ers would have to go through the Eagles and then the Cowboys. I'd be surprised if the Eagles win a playoff game right now.
They do not look good heading into Tampa for the 4-5.
And you talk about momentum. I mean, what is it, 5? They've lost 5 straight?
5 of 6.
Imagine taking that into the playoffs. You know, and they're, for some reason, that team is just kind of self-destruct and just kind of fall apart.
Adam Copeland, Super Bowl champ, Dennis Brown, John Lynn with you. Niners lose 21-20 to the LA Rams as Carson Wentz runs 17 times, a bunch of QB draws, and they get the victory. Niners may have left the door open for them to come and play here again in 2 weeks, if in fact they can get past the Detroit Lions on Super Wildcard Weekend. We are streaming live on YouTube, twitch.tv/thesportsleader, and on KNBR.com and the KNBR app. We'll get into the playoff picture and a little bit more from this game. Niners fall 21-20. The regular season is over. They get a bye week and then back in action in the divisional round. Adam Copeland, Dennis Brown, we're here at Levi Stadium. John Lund's here too, but he's in the doghouse on the Sports Leader.
Yeah, it was really good to just get out there, play an entire football game. Obviously, the result wasn't what we all wanted, but it was good to get out there, get good quality reps.
Adam Copeland, Dennis Brown, John Lem with you. Niners lose to the Rams 21-20. Did not matter to them at all, except that what it did do is it solidified the Rams' chances of coming back here after they stamped their ticket as the number 6 seed to the NFC playoffs. And they'll go to Detroit to take on Jared Goff, their old quarterback, with the Lions' old quarterback, Matt Stafford, on hand for the Rams. Let's get into more of this game. Let's talk about the difference maker in this game. And the difference maker is, of course, sponsored by Benjamin Moore Paints. Experience the Benjamin Moore retail difference at our independently owned authorized retailers today or at benjaminmoore.com. Difference maker in this one. Look, Jake Moody's the one who I think is going to stand out to all of us. Look, we said before the game, don't get hurt. We saw what happened with TJ Watt in Pittsburgh, and they're going to the playoffs now. JJ Watt, his brother, this morning put out a statement saying, it's unlikely that he's going to play in that first game because of an MCL sprain to his knee. And we said, it's not so much the devastating injury. It's any little tweak or bang or nick or cut that could keep an Niner out for the next couple of weeks. As it stands right now, Cleve Farrell is the only one who got hurt today of any significance, but he's a part of that depth that you'd like. He hasn't been a name that we've called a whole lot. We expected maybe a little bit more, hoped for more, I should say. Expectation, I think, would be unfair to say, but the hope was that playing opposite Bosa and Armstead and Hargrave, that he would be able to do some damage this year. They eventually bring in Chase Young. Anyway, John, your thoughts on the difference maker for this one, or the difference in this game that could be a factor beyond this week?
Well, two players I just want to point out. Robert Beal got his first career sack. That was very cool.
Yep.
And they like him. He's athletic. And Taylor Hawkins.
Interception.
And he didn't have, before he came in, even though he'd been with the Niners on the practice squad for a couple of years, he didn't have a stat. He didn't have an NFL stat. Like if you went to his page before today, said Taylor Hawkins, no NFL stats. So he made a nice interception, a nice dive. But I'm with you with Jake Moody. I mean, other than talking about, injuries. And look, Cleve Farrell had a nice year setting the edge and just not getting after the quarterback. But that's never what he had done. But Jake Moody's an issue, man. I mean, it just is. Robbie Gould never missed a playoff kick ever. And now you got a guy who doinked one off the right upright and missed an extra point in consecutive kicks, a 38-yarder and then an extra point. Can't feel great about that. And the thing is, we won't know how he's feeling until we get to the playoffs. Now, is that going to be an extra point after a touchdown early in the game? Is that going to be an easy 40-yard field goal? Is it going to be, what's it going to be? Or is it going to be, hey, the Rams or whomever or the Bucks or whoever comes in here, Lions, hey, we're tied, with 3 seconds left on the clock and the 49ers are down 21-20. I mean, when is the next opportunity for Jake Moody to get that taste out of his mouth? Because he can kick all day in practice. And we heard early in the season he was kicking, doing
60
great.
yarders and whatnot.
Right down the middle. Hadn't missed inside of 40 yards and hadn't missed an extra point all season long. But at times this year, those weren't the easiest kicks, and he did miss a game winner against Cleveland. So I don't want to make too much of it because they did mostly what they're supposed to do today, which is just stay healthy. But I would have loved it if Sam Darnold wouldn't have fumbled that football at the end. They had a couple of opportunities. Chris Conley dropped one. Ray dropped one.
I wanted another shot for Jake, too.
They had opportunities to maybe get in field goal range so that Kyle Shanahan could have him kick a field goal where there's not a ton of pressure. If you miss it, you miss it. But I think he was thinking that, too. Like, you're on the sidelines. You want to get this kid a kick so that, hey, Jake, the last time we saw you made a game winner against the Rams and you knocked him down to the 7th seed. Good job, pal. So we don't know what his mindset is going to be going into his next kick, and his next kick is in the playoffs.
Yeah, and with kickers, you only talk about kickers when they missed a kick. I mean, he missed 2 kicks today. I mean, by title, he's the kicker. He should make the kick. So, I mean, like you said, we won't know until you need it. But in the playoffs, sometimes these games get tight, and the kicker is very important. When I look at this football game, you say difference maker, Carson Wentz, the way he ran the football against, I know the starters weren't in there, but again, I mean, he ran, what did he have? 17
carries in there.
And
56 yards and a touchdown.
And at one point, it was just kind of quarterback, it was the read option, but he was just he was the running back. He was just running. So, again, the 49ers got to learn how to stop the run. I mean, and like I said, I know the starting defense wasn't out there for most of the football game, but still, when I see quarterbacks running, I mean, Carson's a big dude. He's a hard dude to bring down, but still, you got a quarterback read option just running up and down the football field.
Yeah, Carson Wentz goes 17 carries, 56 yards, and a touchdown. He throws 2 touchdowns and a pick. It goes for 17 of 24 and 163 yards through the air. Ronnie Rivers had 13 carries for 52 yards. And, John, you had a great note to me early in the game. You were telling me that without Eric Armstead this year, the 49ers are giving up nearly 5 yards per carry on the ground, or over 5 yards per carry on the ground.
Which would be the worst mark in the NFL. So, look, I think the 49ers have a great chance. They have home field advantage. But to me, the key to a long playoff run, there's many of them, and Brock's got to play his way and all these kind of things, but Eric Armstead's got to play. Plantar fasciitis, I've never had it. Tim Ryan was telling me this week that he had it, and basically it ripped. And Tyler Smith, who was an offensive lineman for the Cowboys, he played through it, it ripped. And what happens is, as bad as it's, well, you ripped that? Well, then in 2 to 3 weeks' time, that's the way that you would recover from that. So there's 2 ways to do it. You either play through it, the plantar fasciitis, that muscle rips, and then 2 to 3 weeks, you're fine, you're good to go, and there's no more pain. And that's what Tim was talking about, what happened to him. Or you can surgically repair it, and basically that's what they do. They rip it for you, and then you come back. Well, Eric Armstead's not doing any of those things. They're saying that they're going to hope that 4 or 5 weeks of rehab time, and he's going to be fine with that thing. But I've heard that it's like nails in your foot. So if that thing goes awry and doesn't heal, and Eric Armstead isn't good enough to play, then you're looking at Hargrave, which is fine, but you could be looking at Kinlaw. And I know he had a sack today, but the reason he got a sack was
deceiving sack.
He was getting manhandled, and Carson Wentz basically ran into him. So I don't have, it's great that they're going through this, but it is a Super Bowl or bust kind of a situation here. And I think Eric Armstead's health is the key to everything, because you can't give up 5 yards a carry, because it's not real hard to look at the film and go, hey, guys, we're going to run it against the 49ers. You don't have to be that smart to know that. Every team that plays the 49ers, first and foremost, is going to test their run defense. And if they can't run it, they'll go somewhere else. But if they can, they'll never stop.
Adam Copeland, Super Bowl champ, Dennis Brown, John Lund with you. Niners lose 21-20 at the hands of the LA Rams. The Rams are going to head to Detroit. The Niners are waiting to see who their next opponent is going to be. It could be these Rams. We'll talk about that next, only here on the Sports Leader.
Man, it's special, man. I definitely don't take it for granted. I feel like the focus that you have to be at your best when your best is required is just at a whole nother level in playoffs. And for a lot of guys, especially the younger guys, like they're going to see the attention to details. You're going to find out that if you're not on the details, there's no small things in the game. So everything could come down to one or two plays, at the end of the day. So it's just being ready when that opportunity comes up.
As the voice of not so boring Oren Burks. Yeah, I'm working on one. I'm working a bit here, John. Oren Burks there. He was in the game today. Got in there a bit. And the 49ers lost 21-20 after a turnover and a come from behind. Well, a nice 17-play drive by the Rams. Put together a scoring drive, a rushing touchdown for Carson Wentz. After the Niners couldn't put anything together really in the second half at all, Jake Moody misses a 38-yard field goal and an extra point, which is the difference in the game. Let's talk about the protection of Sam Darnold, the quarterback, and of Carson Wentz today, which is sponsored, of course, by the Contra Costa County Office of the Sheriff. Protect your community and apply for a new career in law enforcement today at cocosheriff.org, and by Bay Alarm. Worry less about your people and your property with Bay Alarm, bayalarm.com. We just talked a bit about the sacks by who was it who had their first career sack today, John? Robert Beal. We were just talking about Burks and Banks, and it slipped my name. Robert Beal there got his first sack today. You mentioned the Javon Kinlaw one, and the reason the Kinlaw one is significant, you just talked about it. If Eric Armstead is in any capacity unable to go, it'll be Javon Kinlaw in there come divisional weekend against whoever the opponent is. Could be the Rams, could end up being the 7 seed, which is the Green Bay Packers now, right? Packers get in as the 7 after their win over the Bears today. So they have to go to Dallas. The Rams go to Detroit to take on the Lions. Dennis, if it's Javon Kinlaw, what have you seen from him this year? I mean, this was I don't know that we'd say make or break year because we didn't know what to expect. I think our expectations were low, but we all kind of thought if he doesn't put something together or put something on tape this year, this is not a good situation for a guy who was drafted in the first round a few years back.
Yeah, I mean, expectations are high. Bringing in, they've brought in so many different defensive linemen, and when Hargrave came, you see him coming off the bench, Kinlaw coming off the bench. He had some good time when he came off the bench. We saw a couple weeks ago he started a football game. He's still got a lot to work on his technique, and we saw today, that sack, he was going to get pushed off the ball a little bit, and he was able to get Carson Wentz as he was flushed out the pocket. So, Joseph Day, he played a little bit today. He's a guy that is a run stopper. I think they brought him in because maybe they weren't as pleased as they should be with Kinlaw. They bring in Joseph Day, who is a two-gapper, a true two-gapper, to kind of plug up that middle a little bit. He played a little bit today, but I think if Armstead, it's amazing the difference that Armstead makes in this defense. But if he can't play in the playoffs, I think it might be Joseph Day. I think they trust him more against double team and not getting pushed off the ball. So Kinlaw, this was a day that I was looking. He could have had a good day. Could have really kind of put some good things on tape. But he's still got a lot of technique to work with. And I don't understand, at this time, why he's not a whole lot better. I mean, because the focus, he's got to understand what coaches kind of want from him to play low. They want him to absorb double teams, and they want him to get off blocks. So he knows what he has to do. But I do think if Armstead can't play, you'll see Joseph Day in there.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, that is so important for that position, because that's the defensive tackle that plays next to Nick Bosa. So Nick Bosa is going to get doubled, and they're going to try to take him out of things. And even last year, I don't think Nick had a playoff sack after being the defensive player of the year. And what happens is teams are just going to say, look, we're just going to take a chance, whether we're going to chip Nick or whether we're going to use a guard off Nick as well, because they figure if Eric Armstead's not in there, they can go one-on-one there, and then they can concentrate on the guy next to Nick. Well, you can't do that. If you're on the other side, they have Hargrave on the other side, then they probably, depending on what's going on with Cleve Farrell, but, then there's Chase Young there. So that side of the line is working with singles because Nick Bosa's on that other side. So that's why Armstead's so important. He's not only important against the run, but then against the pass game, it's like he's right next to Bosa, and he can force single coverage or at least force the offensive line to be like, geez, what do we do now? We got a bunch of guys who are beasts. That's why they were so good. And now without Eric Armstead, there's just not the respect with Kinlaw. There's not the respect, at least until he gets it down to Joseph Day. Although, like you said, I think they trust him more. People remember he's a former Ram. He's played deep into the playoffs before. This guy can play, and he can get it done. So come playoff time, it's not about trying to develop somebody or whatever the case may be. And remember, Kinlaw's in the last year of his deal. So he's got some, they didn't pick up the last year option on him. So he's got something to prove. they're going to need his help in the playoffs. But what we've seen so far from him, if you're going to play him 20 snaps or something and he's a backup rotational player, he can be effective. But when he has to play too much, which if Eric Armstead's not in there, he's going to have to, then like you said, his technique suffers because he gets tired.
Armstead certainly a key to the pass rushing ability of the defensive line. I mean, when we saw out of the bye, once they added Chase Young, the push up the middle, frequently containing on the outside, getting the quarterback to the inability of the quarterback to step up in the pocket or to create more space for himself because they were getting the pressure right in his face, and then containing on the outside. It's why they racked up 15 sacks in like a 3-game span. And then it kind of fell off once Eric Armstead left. The run defense was not nearly as good. The hits on the quarterback weren't nearly as prominent or weren't happening as effectively and as frequently as they were beforehand. Adam Copeland, Dennis Brown, John Lem with you. Still from Levi Stadium as the Niners fall to the Rams 21-20. We still don't know who their Niners opponent's going to be divisional weekend. It's going to be the lowest remaining seed. Or I guess you'd say highest remaining seed. You'd say the highest numbered seed remaining on the board after Super Wildcard Weekend is who will come here to take on the Niners either next Saturday, either on 2 Saturdays or 2 Sundays. It'll be the 20th or the 21st of the dates of those potential games. But we're thinking it'll be a Saturday game, right, John? Ideal.
Yeah, that's what we had heard. We had heard potentially the 20th is who they're going to play. So like you said, I mean, it could, going to look at some of those lower seeds. To me, the Rams being the 6th, taking on the Lions, I think I could see them winning that. Look, the Eagles are playing so horribly that if the Lions win that, it could be Tampa Bay coming here, and they've got a really solid defense. They beat Carolina today, 9-0. I don't know if the Packers are going to go into Dallas. Dallas has been a team that has not played well on the road. They won against Washington today on the road, 35-10 to win that division, but I don't think the Packers are going into Dallas. So to me, it could be the Lions being the 6. It could be the Bucks being the 5. I could see something like that. Or excuse me, as the 4 taking on the 5, which is the Eagles. To be honest, guys, I don't know what's happened to the Eagles, but today Jalen Hurts, who I think was already banged up, his finger is mangled. A.J. Brown went down with a knee. They had a couple other injuries today. It seems psychological to me, too. They just can't get it together. Don't trust Nick Sirianni. Brian Johnson, their new offensive coordinator, I don't know if he hasn't clicked. They went Sean Desai was the defensive coordinator. They bring in Matt, from the Patriots. Patricia. It hasn't clicked. Their defense has actually gotten worse. Unless they can, in less than a week's time, come up with some sort of a miracle, I just don't see Philadelphia being a factor in the playoffs. So, could be the Rams, could be the Bucks, something in that neighborhood. By the way, real quick on Armstead, the last time he played was meaningful snaps was December 23rd. Thanksgiving at Seattle. He played a little bit. Yeah, November 23rd. He played a little bit against Philadelphia in that game, but that's where he got re-injured. So I'll defer to you on this. So that's like 2 months. So we're saying, okay, the 23rd of November to potentially the 20th of January is how long it's taken possibly for Eric Armstead to come back and play. What is that going to be like to get thrust into the playoffs after 2 months off?
Well, I mean, 2 months off, he is a vet. I mean, he knows how to, I'm sure he's been working out. It's interesting when you say, I never had this injury, but you were saying it has to tear and then heal itself. Ryan was telling me that, yeah. It's too late for that, right? So, I mean,
because
if
they say
he's
it
in
takes
there,
2 to 3 weeks now. Yeah. So now,
so just banking on rehab, or just kind of resting it. So, I mean, he's a vet. I mean, he's played in a playoff football game. He understands what it is. He understands how to prepare himself. But still, that long off is going to take a while to get back up to speed. But I think he's that caliber of player that he can come in. And, I think anything right now.
Is that your brother right there?
Hey, what's up?
Look at that.
I like that. Whoa.
It's pretty bright. I never saw the chain with the light. The guy's got the SF chain.
But it's lit up, yeah.
But it's lit up.
It's
like
a barbershop light, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, wow, look at that.
That's dedication.
Yeah, he's held up like 8 times like, dude, we saw it. I'm getting a little nervous. When does he become a stalker?
Yeah.
Another 30 seconds.
Stop looking at him, and maybe he'll go. Stop looking at the guy through the window. Maybe he'll leave.
Don't give him the attention.
Yeah.
Stop looking at him.
Don't move. Maybe he doesn't see us. Just stay still. Adam Copeland, Dennis Brown, John Lund. Niners fall 21-20 to the L.A. Rams. They may have left the door open there for the Rams to get a win in Detroit, and then to come on back here in a couple of weeks and take on San Francisco again. We have one game underway right now in the AFC, going to determine who the number 2 seed is. If Buffalo beats Miami, and by the way, Josh Allen just threw an interception, shocker, in the end zone. Miami picks him off 0-0 still in the first quarter. We'll throw you over to that game in progress when we wrap up here from Levi Stadium. But if Buffalo wins, they're the 2 seed, and that means that they will play the 7 seed, Miami, this coming weekend. I think it'd be on Sunday is when they'd play them. So I guess it could be the Monday night game potentially as well, which may very well be the case if Buffalo ends up the 2 and Miami the 7. We'll tell you what's going on in the AFC playoff picture. The playoffs are set. The Rams are in. So are the Niners. We know the opponents, except not for San Francisco. We'll tell you about it next on the Sports Leader.
Were you guys locked in a little bit more on Puka today, and were you bummed to see him break the record?
Oh, yeah, I was sad. Yeah, that first half, yeah, it was, for myself, I'm speaking for myself right now. My whole mindset, you're not going to break the record on me. That's just that's how I felt. But, we were zeroed in. We knew he needed, 29 yards to get the record. So we was kind of like zeroed in. Like, we didn't want him to break it. Or if he did break it, we would say he had to play all 4 quarters.
That was Demo Lenore there talking about trying to keep Puka Nacua from breaking the rookie receiving record. The guy had 25 catches in his first 2 NFL games, which is pretty incredible. At 10 week 1, 15 week 2 against the Niners. They lost that game. They win today, 21-20, do the Rams, and they are set as the number 6 seed in the NFC playoff picture. The Packers won in the afternoon slate. They stamped their ticket, and that is the final playoff spot to be sealed up. We're still waiting to figure out what the final seeding is going to be in the AFC playoff picture, but as it shakes out in the NFC, we know who everybody is and where everybody's going. Niners are the 1 seed at 12-5. Cowboys finished 12-5. They're the 2 seed. That's their second division win now in the last 3 seasons after a beatdown of Washington for the second time since Thanksgiving. The Lions are 12-5. They win the division. First time in years, Lions win a division, and they are going to take on their old quarterback, Matt Stafford. The 4 seed is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 9-8. They win the NFC South. They beat they have the tiebreak over New Orleans based on best win percentage in common games. So wins against common opponents, they had the better win percentage. New Orleans also finishes 9-8. Seattle finishes 9-8, but they're both eliminated due to the Packers beating the Chicago Bears. They win the tiebreak over Seattle based on strength of victory. They win the tiebreak over New Orleans based on win percentage in their conference games. And then, as we mentioned, Philadelphia the 5 and the Rams are the 6. At 11-6, Dennis, the Philadelphia Eagles, we just talked about them. They've got to go to Tampa. Tampa did not look good today at all. But, they don't look like a great team anyway. Baker was limping around for the duration of the game, really. Dennis, your thoughts on Philadelphia? I mean, Steve Young said after that game where the Niners beat them down bad in Philly, he said they're pretenders. They're hurt, certainly. John talked about the mental element to some of this. It's tough to do this 2 years in a row, to go as deep into a season as they've gone, well, as they went undefeated this year after going to the Super Bowl and losing last year. Jalen Hurts is not healthy. The team itself, we thought, had a better run game coming into this year. But what do you make of Philadelphia and their chances next week?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Philadelphia was the best team in the National Football League until they played the 49ers. I don't know what happened after that football game, but it seems like, the wheels kind of fell off, of that wagon. So, now you have a quarterback that's questioning people on the team, their work habits and things like that. And then, secretly you change up your defensive coordinator and your defense kind of disappears. So, they've lost a lot of games. You have a quarterback that's beat up. That's the juice of your team, of your offense, and your defense is not playing very well. So I don't know how they get that back on track. But remember that at one time, this was the best team in the National Football League. So it's I don't understand what happened at Philadelphia, but now you're in you've made it into the playoffs. I don't know if you can't hit a switch and kind of turn it back on. They're struggling right now. And, you play a Bucs team that they've got a really good defense. And Baker's playing well. I know he got beat up today, but Baker's playing well.
Yeah, I don't expect anything out of the Eagles. I know they have talent, and I never thought I would say this, but if you look at them, they've lost 5 or 6. The only one they won out of that group of games was a game at home against Tommy Cutlets and the Giants didn't play well that day. The Giants crushed them. They get beat at home by the Cardinals. I think the 49ers took their soul. I mean, you look at everything they've done, and then you start looking at the injuries that they have. I think there's something that's going to come out at the end of the year. A.J. Brown has been very vocal in the locker room. There's just something missing. They had to replace both their coordinators. Something's wrong with Philadelphia. I think Tampa's going to win that game next week, led by their defense. And to me, the most intriguing matchup the entire weekend is not even close. Detroit, because I lived there when they went 0-16. I worked there when they went 0-16. Ford Field is going to be on absolute fire, and the fact that Matthew Stafford, their longtime quarterback, is going there against Jared Goff, it's going to be all the talk. And I got a lot of respect for the Rams. I mean, we didn't see it today because Stafford didn't play, but they got a lot of young, good players on defense. You're going to get Cooper Kupp back on this offense. Kyron Williams is a really good running back. The Rams are a legitimate threat, and I think they're going to go into Detroit and win. And I think we're going to see the Rams in the divisional in that one and in the first one for the 49ers. And it worries me only because Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan know each other so well. And when you do that, then it comes down to, can you execute to that level? They know what you're going to do. You know what they're going to do. Can you cover those young wide receivers? Can you stop the run in Kyron Williams? Can Eric Armstead play up to his capability? Because as much as everybody talks about the wizardry of these two coaches and the passing game and the shifting and the motion, they both want to run the football. That's what they want to do.
Niners had not lost a division game in the regular season going back, 4 years or something like that? They had not lost a division game, period, since they lost to the Rams in the 2021 NFC Championship game. Jaquiski dropping the game-winning interception. The Rams very well could come here in a couple of weeks. To the AFC real quick, Ravens are the 1 seed. We don't know yet about 2. It'll either be Miami or Buffalo, depending on who wins the game that's in progress in the second quarter right now down in Miami. And if Buffalo wins, they'd be the 2. They would play Miami next week at home in Buffalo. Miami then would just have to turn around and go right back up to Buffalo. You'd play those 2 games back-to-back weeks. That'd be pretty fun. Kansas City is going to be at home for their first playoff game against whoever the 6 seed is. They're the 3. That could be either Miami or Buffalo, depending on how that thing shakes out. And Pittsburgh then could jump up to the 6 seed as well, depending on how this shakes out. So Cleveland is the 5. The other matchup I really want to see is Cleveland going to Baltimore. That's the other one. We're getting the other former quarterbacks of the opposing teams in Detroit and Los Angeles. It'd be a blast. It might be an ugly game, but it'd be fun to see Flacco go back to Cleveland. What do you think, Dennis?
And, Flacco's playing. He's playing amazing right now. I mean, he's turned that, how many quarterbacks has Cleveland had this season? 5?
They've won games with 4 of them, and I think they've had
4
5
different quarterbacks. So, they're doing an amazing job. And, Flacco, he's a guy who's played a lot of football. He's won a Super Bowl. So, I mean, he gets off the couch and he does it. And that would be interesting, going back to Baltimore and playing your old team.
The AFC is really interesting in that I think Baltimore is going to win it. I got a lot of respect for the Ravens and what they did here. They got all those turnovers, but they're legitimately good. And Lamar Jackson is legitimate the MVP. But then, is Patrick Mahomes in that offense? Because they have a defense, but they can't get the offense going. Does Mahomes all of a sudden turn it on? Is he that good? Despite the fact that they have a lack of weapons, Travis Kelce has been banged up. But you always got to watch Kansas City. One of these two teams playing tonight. I've always thought, Buffalo. What's going on there? I don't know that Miami can go to a cold weather city. Can they even go up to Buffalo next week? Or if they have to go to Baltimore or Cleveland or one of these places, traditionally Miami just doesn't do well in those kind of environments. So I'm kind of taking them out of the equation. But, Buffalo was supposed to be better. Kansas City offensively was supposed to be better. There's the potential there for the AFC to really be difficult. But somebody's going to have to be on their A game to beat Lamar in Baltimore because, like the 49ers, everything goes through there.
As it stands right now, 0-0 in the Buffalo and Miami game, but Buffalo has the ball right now. They just missed Stephon Diggs on a deep passing pattern that would have scored a touchdown had he come down with it. As of, by the way, entering play today, 27 passing touchdowns on the year, 13 rushing touchdowns for Josh Allen. Excuse me, he's got 14 rushing. He's one shy now of tying O.J. Simpson for the single season touchdown record for rushing touchdowns. Now it'll be in a longer season than the Juice had, of course.
I mean, as far as statistically, I mean, he's always on every MVP list, but they kind of went through a lull in the middle of the season, so he kind of lost the MVP right there. But if they had been better consistently throughout the year, I mean, his numbers to have 14 rushing touchdowns and 27, but it's been, you said this early in the game, he turned one over in the end zone against Miami when they got a turnover. So they had an opportunity to take a 7-0 lead. They're on the road in this game. They should be ahead, but he's been a turnover machine, which a lot of people in those losses just took him off the board for an MVP. But in terms of what he's done when he's not turning the ball over, he's been impressive.
We'll get into some more records that were up for grabs today, potentially. We talked about the Puka Nacua one. Tyreek Hill playing right now. He's 248 yards shy, entering today, of setting the single-season receiving record set by Calvin Johnson back in 2012. Have never had a 2,000-yard receiver. He had 1964, did Calvin Johnson back in 2012. Brock Purdy set the NFL record today for yards per attempt since he didn't attempt to pass. 9.6 sets the record previously held by Matt Ryan in 2016. We'll talk more about this one. By the way, you know who his coach was, Matt Ryan, his offensive coordinator. That was Kyle Shanahan in 2016 when he won the MVP and set that record. We'll talk more about this one, get you our call of the game, our drive of the game, and, of course, our post-game player interview. That's all coming up. Niners fall to the Rams 21-20, only here on the Sports Leader. Adam Copeland, Dennis Brown, John Lund back here with the at Levi Stadium following a Niners 21-20 loss at the hands of the Rams, who they could see in a couple of weeks. Carson Wentz runs for a touchdown, throws for a couple. Sam Darnold started today, did throw 26 passes today, and did end up with a lost fumble in this one as well that resulted in a Niner loss. Jake Moody missed a 38-yard field goal and an extra point. Not good stuff. I'm not really in the moody for any of that at this point in the season as we head towards the postseason. Thank you, John. Let's get to our postgame interview sponsored by the Handler Union Square Hotel, San Francisco's oldest family-owned hotel. After the game, after the loss, Kyle Shanahan stepped to the podium and met with the media.
All right, guys, injuries from the game. Cleve Farrell had a knee. No ACL, no MCL, but we'll have to figure out exactly what it is tomorrow. Taylor Hawkins there at the end had a wrist, and that was it from the game.
We talked about it through the week, but how much of this game is you just holding your breath, not wanting to see somebody go down?
The whole game. Yeah, you want to get a win, but you also want to make sure of that. And it's unfortunate to have that with Clee. Most of everything else went pretty clean, though.
There's a chance Clee could miss a game.
Yes, there's a chance.
Going to the playoffs, how concerned are you with Jake Moody misses today?
It's never good when you miss them, especially having two like that and the extra point. And I think it was his first one inside the 40, maybe all year. But he's had a hell of a year. He's done a hell of a job up to this point, and just had a rough day today.
Would you see bringing in somebody on a practice squad or just having somebody else on hand?
No, he's been great all year, and I know he was rough on those two today, but no, we're good with Jake.
What did you think of Sam Darnold today?
I thought Sam did some real good things. He made a number of plays that kept us out there. He did a great job scrambling. He was awesome on his sneaks, the quarterback draw. I think he moved the chains one other time with his legs, made some big throws. I know that last play was unfortunate, just stepping up in the pocket there and those guys coming from behind him with the fumble, but I was happy with Sam today.
What are you seeing with Beal? Seemed like he had a nice day today.
Yes, I was glad to get a lot of guys some more playing time today. He's been great since he came back from IR. He's getting better and better each week, and today was good for him. I'm excited to watch the tape and see exactly how he did, but it seemed like he did some good things.
For guys like Trent and Bosa and those guys, did you have a set number of plays you wanted to get him, or was it a series? Like, how did you kind of?
No, I told Trent and Nick, we were trying to go around 10 to 15. It was perfect for that opening play drive. The opening drive being about 10 plays, so that was great for Trent. And it was weird with the defense. I felt like, they had that opening 11 play drive, and then I think we got a pick on the first play. There was only like 12 plays until the very end of the 2 minute when they're trying to get Puka the ball. But once some time went, I got them out there at the end of the second quarter, and no one came back after half.
What was your message in the locker room in terms of maybe switching into the playoff mindset now?
That's really what we talked about all week. Having that playoff mindset, knowing the level that we have to play at coming in a couple weeks, and that's why it was so important for us to get a lot out of this week. We had to practice that way. We talked about it a lot last night at our team meeting, and set the schedule for the week. And guys are going to have tomorrow off, but we'll come here Tuesday, treat it like a day after game on Tuesday, and get going.
Do you practice hard this week?
Yeah, we'll have 2 days we practice real hard. We'll probably have 1 day we just do like a team conditioning thing, not much football, but we'll have 2 days we practice real hard.
Kittle and Greenlaw were pregame scratches. Are you concerned with that injury?
No, I bet you they definitely were trying to go, but Kittle's having some back spasms. So once that was happening pregame, we shut him down, and Dre had some Achilles tendonitis, so that was acting up a little bit more before the game than we had heard about it, and once we heard that, we were safe with him.
Is there anything cautionary?
Yeah, definitely.
Is there anything beneficial at all about playing the Rams in case they're your first round opponent?
I don't think so, but
Stafford's going to run the ball like 20 times.
Yeah, they got us ready for that, so hopefully that we got better at that for today.
How happy were you that McVay went for 2? Did you guys talk at all before the game? Any gentleman's agreement on that?
No, we both, when we talked, we both knew what this game was for both of us, but we both know we want to win, but first thing is trying to keep our players safe, and we were just trying our butts off to keep them from getting 1 more yard and 1 more completion to Puka so he could play him the whole game. So that's what I was.
Coverage at the end of the half.
Oh yeah, we were trying to. Our goal was to just keep him going the whole game, but we knew it was going to be tough. We only needed 1 more catch and 1 more yard, but we tried our hardest.
Would you You mad if someone did that to you? You know, you're going for a number and someone did that to your guy?
No, I'd expect it. And that's why we'd throw to someone else open. But I was hoping they were going to do that, but I think they wanted to get him out pretty fast, and I'm just glad he had to come in the third. It was a small victory.
So you're trying to tire him out, is that?
What's that?
You're trying to tire him out a little? Is that
not tire him out. I want them to go through the stress that we're going through. You don't want to get anyone hurt. I mean, those aren't the most fun games for us. You got to do it, but you know what? I don't think we're going to talk much about it next week. So we're going to talk about what players are available for this game and things like that. So, I mean, I'm trying not to be really upset how it ended personally, but I also got to keep it in perspective and make sure that we're ready for what matters going here forward.
Now you are right into the playoffs. Just your general assessment of the way this regular season went and how you feel about your team.
I mean, our goal was to get the number 1 seed. That was our first and foremost goal. We did. It was just a little bit weird this last week. But I like how our guys handle it. I loved how our year went. I mean, we set out to do this, and I was real happy with a number of guys. I thought guys got better throughout the year, but as our players have been saying, we still feel our best football's forward, and that's kind of tough to generate when you're not going through these games. But that's why we got to be so locked into these practices and just how we clean things up and make sure no matter what happens, no matter who comes here in a couple of weeks, and no matter what type of game it is, whether it's a shootout, a game of field goals, whatever it is, that we're up for whatever it takes to win it.
Regardless of the circumstances, is it particularly annoying to lose to Sean McVay?
No, I'm all right. I mean, it's annoying to lose to everybody. I mean, you know, it's a little bit more when it's your rivals or when it's someone in your division, and it's always a little bit more when you know people. But it's not just him. There's a bunch of people on the staff I know, so they all annoy me.
Is there any thought to giving Brandon Allen some run?
Not really. I mean, we talked about it a little possibly, but the way that game was going and stuff, thought it would have been a little bit unfair to Sam, and loved how he battled and got that experience. Been waiting for that all year, and but no, I mean, we talked about before the game, but it just didn't play out that way. I mean, I really feel, you know, we only really had 2 drives in the second half till there was about till the 4 minutes till we had that 3 and out. So just weren't that many plays.
Do you advance scout at all this week coming up, or do you just wait until you find out who you play? I mean, because you can't play Detroit, you can't play Dallas, but any of the other 4 you could.
Yeah, we'll dabble in it all. I mean, we got to do something with that stuff when we'll go crazy as coaches, but you know, hopefully we'll find out by Sunday. Starting to hit me that I don't think we can officially find out till maybe Monday, because I know there's Monday night game, so that'll be a little bit different. Haven't gone through that, so we'll definitely plan for all the possibilities and be halfway in on a bunch, and as soon as we get told, then we'll be 100% in.
There you go. That's 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan with the media following the loss to the Rams, 21-20. The news there, Cleve Ferrell left the game with a knee injury. He says a chance still that he could play in the divisional weekend. No MCL, no ACL was the report there. Also, he was asked at one point about Jake Moody's kicking. 38-yard miss today and an extra point. Had not missed a field goal attempt under 40 and had not missed an extra point this year. Kyle was asked if they thought about adding a kicker to the practice squad here, and he said, no, those were 2 rough ones today, but we are okay with Jake. I don't know that you can add a kicker to the practice squad without saying that I feel like if you add a kicker to the practice squad, you're messing with Jake Moody's head even more.
Yes.
Yeah, yes. I think you can't even approach that. It's like you're in on him or you're not. There's no in between here.
Yeah, not at this point. I mean, you know, if you bring in, we were just talking offline here. We were just talking about you put Robbie Gould in the practice squad. I mean, that just crushed it. I mean, he is a rookie. I mean, that would just crush.
Can't do that, yeah.
But I mean,
how can I get Robbie Gould in the building without putting Robbie Gould in the practice squad? Like, can he be a janitor? I mean, can we get Robbie Gould?
Is that Robbie Gould?
Can we double check? I mean, something. I mean, to the 49ers. I mean, you know, there's not a lot of air between Greg and Tim talking, but like Robbie Gould's sideline reporter. I mean, I don't know. Look, here's the thing. You know this better than I do. This is professional sports. He just doinked a 38-yarder. And he missed an extra point right as well. So to me, look, I'm sorry that this hurts your feelings, but somebody better be ready, because if he struggles let's say they play whomever they play, and he does it again, misses one, you know, looks shaky, Sorry, man. It's Super Bowl or bust, and my kicker's not holding me back. I'll put you on practice squad, and we're not going to cut you. But you know what? Robbie Gould has not missed a playoff kick. I'm sorry, man. We got to win.
Cutthroat. You're like, listen, welcome to the NFL, rookie. You do your job, or we'll find someone that can do it for you.
I'd like to believe that he's earned enough this year to warrant. I mean, again, he missed some early, but I think he's made enough this year, and he's been consistent enough for the last 2.5 months to warrant a couple of misses today. That no, we don't feel good about it, but. If he turns around and he knocks 2 through, you don't think about it at all again after divisional weekend.
Okay, 3 seconds left on the clock. They're down 1, and he's kicking a 39-yarder.
I don't feel good about that with any rookie kicker. I don't feel good about it with any kicker, really, period. If you've got to have a kicker in that situation to save your season, and now that's the issue, is this team, and Dennis, that's the thing with Doug Bryant, too, back in 94. He hasn't played a whole bunch of close games where he needed to kick some game winners. He had one opportunity to Jake Moody this year to kick a game winner. He didn't make it. Right. Today he misses 2 that were no pressure, low intensity kicks. I'm not really that concerned about today. It's certainly not what you want to see in the final week of the season.
That's all I'm saying is look, I'm not panicking over Jake Moody, but we're going into the playoffs, and it's clearly win or go home. And a lot of times your field goal kicker, Green Bay a couple of years ago, you either make those kicks, you don't make those kicks, and if you don't, then you go home. I mean, that's as simple as it gets. So if I'm Kyle Shanahan, I have to say that to the media after the game. I have to say that I believe in Jake Moody. And then we walk in, we shut the door with special teams, your friend's back. We shut the door in special teams. We go, oh my God! Yeah, it's like, then they got to do something.
Oh no, how could he do that?
It's like, it's just bad timing. I'm not going to freak out. I'm not going to flip out. It's none of those kind of things. But they would be foolish, to be honest with you, to at least not say who's on our list.
It wasn't John
Moody. No.
That was John on draft day, by the way. Earlier,
but, honestly, they probably are saying if he does struggle in maybe the first playoff game, do we have a list? Do we need to do something? Look, I'm not panicking over Jake Moody, but those misses, as you said, in a no pressure as no pressure as an NFL game can be, other than a preseason game, those are low to no pressure kicks. And he misses a 38. He hadn't missed under 40 all year, and he hadn't missed an extra point. So Kyle's thinking that too. So he's 60 of 61 on extra points. But that's not great going into the playoffs.
No, it's not. Not ideal. He had been consistent and perfect all year long on the extra points until today. We will talk, I'm sure, for 2 weeks long about Jake Moody's kicking and whether or not it's going to be a
give
factor.
That guy an Uber, man. The guy with the 49ers.
With the lit up 49er thing.
Yeah, I was trying not to look. I saw you glance.
I told you, stop looking. He might think we're gone.
The listeners are like, what are they talking about?
We're talking about
the crazy.
Maybe I'll move next time. I'm going to move my camera the next time he comes.
Next time he comes in, yeah. Well, then he's going to be waving at the camera.
That's true.
Adam Copeland, Dennis Brown, John Lund. That guy's still here at Levi Stadium, and yeah, we are too. Niners lose 21-20 to the LA Rams. We got your call of the game and the drive of the game, and then we are getting out of here and throwing you over to Buffalo and Miami. Miami just scored a touchdown, by the way. Devon Achane just scored. It's 7-0 Miami over Buffalo with 8:43 remaining in the first half. More to come here on the Sports Leader.
Brandon, what do you enjoy most about playing in the playoffs?
Everything.
Can you describe just the winner goes home elimination game mentality for you as a player? You get a couple weeks now to get ready, but can you just kind of describe everything that goes into that?
It's just exciting, getting ready, preparing for it. Like you said, winner go home, so it's a one-game season from here on out, and that's all you can ask for as a player.
Well, see, that's Brandon Ayuk. 49ers lose 21-20 here at Levi's Stadium. Matters not. 12-5. They are the top seed in the NFC. Dallas wins their division 35-10 over Washington today. The 3 seed is the Lions. They win. They beat Minnesota and our old friend Nick Mullins. 4 seed would be the Tampa Bay Bucks. They beat Carolina today 9-zip. 5 seed, the Eagles get smoked by the Giants 24-10, so they'll be the 5. The 6 seed then will be the Rams. They won today, like we said, and then the Packers get in. They win at Chicago, so no Seattle. The Seahawks won today at Arizona. They don't get in, and now that is your through 7. Did he catch that?
That was an incredible touchdown pass by Josh Allen. It wasn't really a good pass. The ball got tipped high up into the air, like 25 feet into the air. The receiver then drags his toes into the back of the end zone and makes a great catch. Touchdown, Buffalo 7-7, pending the extra point.
Yeah, and we know that those are not automatic, so... Tyler Bass on 7-6.
Tyler.
Let's go, dude. On the radio. There we go. Right there.
It's official. 7-7. Buffalo and Miami in the second quarter.
Before we get to this, because this is something we won't talk about a whole lot because it's the playoffs. That's all we're going to talk about here. But the season itself for the 49ers, ask both you guys. I mean, what a year. To get the top seed, to go through what they went through, to have Brock in the offseason surgery, all these records offensively. Christian McCaffrey has a hell of a year defensively. The type of things from guys like Ward and Warner, and Bosa isn't going to be defensive player of the year, but double-digit sacks. They add Hargrave. I mean, let me start with you, Dennis. I mean, I know everything is going to be about the playoffs and whether they can win the Super Bowl and whether they end up in Vegas and all those kind of things, and finally end the string since you guys won the Super Bowl. But I mean, a pretty great season as we enter the playoffs.
I mean, you took care of business. I mean, you had that little 3-game fall off, but you take care of business. You get the number 1 seed. You win your division again. You run the table, except for, I don't know if we can count this as actually a divisional game because, your starters weren't out there. But, I mean, you have to look back and say, this is what we kind of work for, OTAs, the training camp, and, off-season programs. This is what you want to do, and you kind of checked all the boxes. Now, we talked about it. I mean, everything is great. You got the records, you got the best quarterback, you got all these receivers, you got your D-line, you got your defense. But you got to win a trophy. I mean, you have to win a championship, or seasons like this just kind of disappear. I mean, unless you bring home a Lombardi, people just kind of say, well, that was another year that they coulda, woulda, coulda, shoulda, and then we'll start all over again. The quest for 6. So that's the way it works. But as a player and the team, I mean, you've accomplished a lot. You've done everything you're supposed to do. Now you just kind of have to finish it up.
Yeah, I mean, it's the season that's in history and the picture of the 49er franchise. When we look back, I think this will be one of the best regular seasons as a body of work we've ever seen for a team like this. That said, unless you win the Super Bowl, nobody gives a damn. Nobody cares about the 07 Patriots. Nobody cares about the 73-win Warriors. You got to finish the job. And because this team has been so close so many times already under this regime and this head coach and this GM, there's one thing left to do. And the problem is, once you do that, then it's get back to the drawing board and do it again. I mean, that's the status that this organization wants to be the standard, and they've said it, so now you got to go answer the call.
Well, I'll tell you, too, it's not as easy. So what they've done, I think we should sit here for a second and say, wow, last year they lose Brock, but they got to the NFC Championship game. Year before that, against the Rams, they get to the NFC Championship game. Year before that, they had a bunch of injuries. Year before that, they get to the Super Bowl. I mean, this run through the last 4 years has been amazing, but not every year is guaranteed. You look Philadelphia going to the playoffs. I thought for sure this was going to end up with the Eagles at the 49ers or the 49ers at the Eagles, and that was going to be the NFC. Well, all of a sudden, the Eagles have lost 5 of 6. They got a bunch of injuries. They got to the Super Bowl, and they were this close to winning it, but Kansas City took it away. So everyone assumed this year, well, you know what, Jalen Hurts is even going to be better, and Jason Kelsey's coming back another year. This defense is great. Doesn't matter that they lost the coordinators. You know, they lost some players. They drafted guys like Jalen Carter, even though they lost Hargrave. I mean, everybody assumed after a 10-1 start that Philadelphia was going to keep it up. They didn't. Everybody assumes that Kansas City is going to be in this thing. They couldn't find receivers this year, and their offense isn't what it was. So now they're going to potentially have to play for the first time on the road, and they're the Super Bowl champs from a year ago, and everybody's talking about the Ravens. So
Pat Mahomes never played a road playoff game. Yeah.
So it doesn't roll over year to year. So because they've gotten so close, it doesn't mean that they're due or anything like that. They've got to outplay and beat opponents regardless of where these games are played. They happen to be played here, but it doesn't mean they're automatically getting to the Super Bowl, and it doesn't mean that if they don't get it done this year, that they'll get it done next year. I mean, I think the Eagles are just a perfect example, or the Bills who have gotten close so many times. You know, it just every year changes. There's injuries, all these different things. Like, look at the Browns. Browns have so much talent on that team. If Deshaun Watson was Deshaun Watson, maybe the Browns are the favorite in the AFC. I mean, just things change so much in the league that nothing's guaranteed. And so the 49ers have this golden opportunity in front of them to win a Super Bowl. I think this should be their year, but there's a lot of work ahead. If they have to play the Rams in a couple of weeks, if they have to play Dallas, they have to play the Ravens in the Super Bowl. Those are all really tough teams.
Their toughest victory, I thought, of the season came against the Rams in Week 2. This was not indicative of the Rams team we would see in a couple of weeks or that we'll see next week in Wild Card Weekend, but still would be a wildly tough opponent to have to take on a Hall of Fame quarterback and a coach in Sean McVay that knows you well, plus Aaron Donald. He's just down there sitting at that D tackle waiting to wreck your game. Adam Copeland, Dennis Brown, John Lund with you. Call the game, drive of the game. That's coming up next on the Sports Leader.
49ers lose to the Rams 21-20. Carson Wentz leads them with a late touchdown. Jake Moody missed an extra point, a 38-yard field goal, but it matters not. The 49ers are the top seed in the NFC, and they will await winners from the NFC playoffs. We are all set in the NFC. We're waiting on the AFC. Buffalo and Miami, which we will join shortly late in the second quarter, are tied at 7, but it's time for your drive of the game, brought to us by our good friends at Modesto Toyota. Kevin and the whole crew will take care of it. Modesto Toyota. Check them out online, as I did, and get the one you want at modestotoyota.com. Here is your drive.
2 are left, 3 are right. Darnold pumps, throws, end zone. It is caught by Ronnie Bell. Touchdown, San Francisco.
What a strong catch by Ronnie Bell.
And what a great throw by slinging Sammy Darnold. There you go. 21-20. That was right before the end of the first half. 14-19 in the first half. Uh-oh.
Tim turned off the lights. He was like, that's what I don't know about that, too. Yeah.
21-20, the 49ers are the top seed in the NFC. And that's your drive of the game on the Sports Leader.
Darnold quarterback sneak off the left side, gets pushed into the end zone. Touchdown, San Francisco.
Slinging Sammy Darnold is also sneaking Sammy Darnold. 2 for 3 on the quarterback sneaks.
Why don't we make sneaking Sammy Darnold the call of the game? Whether your project is big or small, always call 811 before you dig. Adam Copeland, Super Bowl champion Dennis Brown, John Lund, wrapping it up here from Levi Stadium as the Niners fall 21-20 to the Rams. But as John said, it matters not. They are the number one seed in the NFC playoff picture. They will take on the lowest remaining seed, or the high. I don't know which number we mean. The worst team left, the worst seeded team remaining.
Called the high. Yeah, the
highest number left is the team that the Niners will play.
Lowest.
In divisional round play. It could be the Rams, who, by the way, are going to travel to Detroit to take on the Lions next weekend. Eagles will be at Tampa, and you'll have the Packers at Dallas. And again, if the Packers were to win, Niners will play the Packers. If the Rams win, Niners would play them. If not, it is the highest remaining seed. Could still be Philadelphia, potentially. I guess it wouldn't be Philly. It would have to be the 6 or the 7 if one of those won. Anyway, we will wrap things up here. We're going to throw you over to the Sunday Night Football game in progress right here on the Sports Leader. The Bills are tied with the Dolphins 7-7 here in the second quarter. We will throw you live to that game, and then following the conclusion of the Golden State Warriors and the Toronto Raptors tonight over at Chase Center, John Dickinson, our own JD, boots on the ground, is going to take you all the way. He'll give you Dubs postgame with Dubs OT. So you get your Niners postgame into some Sunday Night Football here, and then you get Dubs OT following the Warriors game with John Dickinson. We'll be back with you for 49er pregame. Make sure you stay tuned to all the KNBR programming this week and next to find out when the Niners are going to play and when our pregame show will be. It'll be either Saturday the 20th or Sunday the 21st. Niners fall to the Rams 21-20, but the quest for sixth begins anew in 2 weeks as playoff football gets going next Saturday. The sports will continue as we throw you over to the Sunday Night Football game. Bills and Dolphins already in progress right here on KNBR 104.5 and 680. It's the Sports Leader. John Lund's here too, but he's in the doghouse on the Sports Leader.